This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business.
You only need to know me. I will be the one.
So I had a different Zoro video planned for you guys, but I think it's better to make this one first. The other one I kind of put off for a few weeks now, but I guess either way, each is somewhat time sensitive given the arc of Wano is almost over. And Zoro is not done yet. At least I don't think he is, and I'm sure a few of you agree with me on this. Now, this is not a Zoro killing Kaido video. I've never known how to actually feel about that idea. While it's possible Zoro does do something, maybe even fight Kaido briefly again if he wakes up, if Luffy needs someone to buy him time. What I personally mean by Zoro is not done yet concerns several plot points, but really one that I want to briefly discuss. And it requires us to consider what symbolic significance remains to make this hypothetical Zoro arc stand out when compared to Whole Cake Island as it was or is believed to be Sanji's arc. Of course, each had to share the spotlight with their captain Luffy. That's pretty much how it always goes. What I've come to realize is Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy, the monster trio, is kind of like the three true or additive primary colors, red, green, and blue. Luffy's color scheme being red and even some of his attacks named after red. Zoro or Mosshead being green because yeah, green here. As well as the green advanced conqueror's haki or spirit or aura that we see coating his swords in this volume cover, and it'll probably be soon revealed in the anime when he fights King. And blue would be Sanji, his dreams of the all blue, and even the recent reveal of his new Diable Jambe, his Ifrit Jambe, and other flames even burning the color blue. Zoro and Sanji are kind of portrayed as rivals of some sort. Maybe Oda even pointed this out himself in one of those interviews or in SBS, I don't remember right now. But given their somewhat competing narratives or plot points, I don't want to so much focus on them as characters as I want to focus on what each did in an arc that should define them going forward. Sanji had his past or family ties that were fleshed out in Whole Cake Island. We see from Wano hints as to Zoro's past via a relationship with his blades, his swordsmanship, the dojo he grew up around in Shimotsuki village, Sanji and the Germa Tech and Vinsmoke lineage, as well as other mysteries that remain in terms of his Lunarian ties, were essential to defeating Queen. Zoro's relationship with Shimotsuki Kozaburo was imperative to understanding the will or duty of his blades to defeat King, especially Enma, and forming a stronger relationship with them. Oda's fights, and so his power-ups too, are said to revolve around or be written in a way that feels or tells a story. The storytelling aspect being the most important part, and I'm assuming what Oda looks forward to the most. I think many of us readers can relate to that as well. And so, the story of Zoro that remains to be told in Wano ties into something that is yet to happen yet, and that's what we're here today to discuss. Will Zoro wake up again before the end of Wano? Because why hasn't Zoro visited Ryuma's grave? Or has he already done so and we just haven't gotten that flashback yet? Now, this may or may not be the start of a series of videos where we analyze certain moments in the series as submitted by those of you that are subscribed to this channel, so subscribe if you're interested and want to make some future recommendations. But today we are going to break down some questions surrounding Zoro and Ryuma, a mystery I feel Oda will resolve before the arc is over. But in chapter 954, we see a scene of Zoro and Hiyori discussing how Shusui came to be in Zoro's possession. Shusui, a sacred treasure of Wano country that when stolen led to great sorrow and tragedy. Hiyori asks Zoro to return Ryuma's blade to its rightful place, and Zoro agrees, so long as he gets a replacement. And there is a suggestion from Zoro of honor or mutual respect between Zoro and Ryuma after having done battle and clashed swords with one another, even if Ryuma was just a corpse. As a result, Oda in a way is kind of telling us that Zoro took into consideration his relationship with Ryuma before deciding to return that blade to him, and it is the focus on this relationship that might have another meaning. If you ever dreamed of becoming a content creator of some kind, there is a path alternative to YouTube and other social media platforms, and that is Squarespace. As an example, a friend of mine by the name of Jarks is an artist and draws art in the One Piece and anime community, and you can follow Jarks' Twitter page on the screen here to see some examples of the artwork they've made recently. I've spoken to Jarks about Squarespace and its function as a highly effective and profitable online platform in which you can create your own eye-catching website and a community with fully integrated interactions through comments and likes, just like other social media platforms, but better. In the case of being an artist, taking commissions, or needing a location to sell your artwork, Squarespace is the most effective and reliable resource for growing your business online. As I told my friend, the steps are clearly explained to you when you visit the Squarespace platform. Step 1 is to create a website, selecting from any of the industry-leading website templates, designer fonts, and color palettes that best fit your personal style and professional needs. Step 2 is developing the customized page so that you can sell the product, exploring various tools to set up an online store, booking services, or adding your favorite third-party extensions. And step 3 is marketing your business, standing out in every inbox and social media feed. On-brand email campaigns and social tools make it easy to retain customers and grow your audience. Squarespace is not just the future, it is the present. The here and now modern solutions that are available to you at the click of a button. And so, go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And whenever you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Vinland to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Something I just thought of now is how Zoro's encounter with the specter of death and the theories that link it to Enma are akin to Zoro having a visitation with death, a funeral of sorts, and so a meeting with the undead or spirit of his blade. In the context of Shusui, Zoro no longer has that sword. Did he already return it? If not, where's Shusui and when will Zoro do so? Or if he already has returned it, when will we see this moment, whether a flashback or a passing conversation? And what will it signify? Death and life go hand in hand, very often. Endings and new beginnings. Zoro Enma and awakening the spirit of this blade. Zoro Shusui and the grave where Ryuma was laid to rest. Two sides of the same coin. Similar albeit different moments. Apparently in Japan there is a Japanese tradition of visiting the graves of your ancestors. Visiting graveyards to rest your ancestor's soul is called Ohaka Mairi, in Japanese, haka meaning grave or tombstone. It can be done any time, but Japanese people will usually visit on the same day as the Buddhist memorial service or on the same day of the death of their ancestor. What is also interesting is how when relatives visit the graves of their ancestors in Japan, it seems, based on what I read, that they typically clean the grave themselves rather than leave it for a groundskeeper to do. They bring with them a bucket and a dipper, and pour water in order to wash the body of the family gravestone. Water from the pail is poured carefully using a dipper onto the tombstone. The water is believed to alleviate the thirst of the dead. And ironically, the blade Shusui that Zoro has or will return to Ryuma's grave, the name Shusui translates to clear autumn water. And so in a way, by returning the blade Shusui to Ryuma's grave, setting it upon the tombstone, Zoro would in the process be washing the grave with the clear water of autumn. It's also worth pointing out that Zoro was born on November 11th, and in terms of the seasons, fall or autumn runs from September 1st to November 30th. So Zoro was born in the season of autumn, and it is fitting for him to be the one to pour the clear autumn water on Ryuma's grave by returning the blade Shusui to Ryuma. If there is some broader relationship between Zoro and the Shimotsuki, that is. Oda did reveal recently, or at least in 2021, or maybe it was 2022, I can't remember. But he revealed that Shimotsuki Ushimaru is not Zoro's father, but I still think it's possible Ushimaru is an uncle or some other type of relative. It's also likely that Zoro is not related to the Shimotsuki at all, but there's just so much evidence out there that ties him to them, I think. Besides the stark resemblance of each Shimotsuki legend, Ushimaru and Ryuma, to Zoro. Hyogoro and Kawamatsu having discussed how Zoro's fighting style reminded them of Ushimaru, and how Zoro's appearance reminded them of Ryuma, another one-eyed samurai. But yeah, will Zoro visit Ryuma's grave, or will we get this in a flashback? Going back to Zoro's conversation in Ringo Graveyard with Hiyori, he agrees to give Ryuma's sword Shusui back to him, to Hiyori in the land of Wano, with the one condition that he, Zoro, be allowed to visit Ryuma's grave later on. When exactly is later? And has it happened already? If not, when will it? Visiting graves reminded me of something else. Thriller Bark parallels Wano. A lot was foreshadowed in Thriller Bark for Wano, and at the end of Thriller Bark, after Zoro overcame Kuma in Hell in a near-death experience, as he is now overcoming a near-death experience, literally meeting death and the specter or god of Hell or the underworld. Zoro, at the end of Thriller Bark, visited a tombstone, the gravesite of Brook's pirate crew. This was a few days after Zoro had been knocked out from all the pain he had endured. A grave had been set for Brook's former crew, the Rumbar Pirates. Brook talks about setting things to rest, laying his crew to rest, in their native soil, akin to Zoro laying Shusui to rest with Ryuma in his native soil in the land of Wano, where it belongs. As Brook begins to play a song, Zoro appears after waking up and plants a sword down firmly into the ground. Zoro asks Brook to please allow him to lay this blade to rest, to hold a service for the dead katana, Yubashiri. Maybe something like this will happen again, for Shusui or another sword Zoro decides to leave behind. Shusui, a sacred treasure of Wano country that when stolen led to great sorrow and tragedy. Hiyori asks Zoro to return Ryuma's blade to its rightful place, and Zoro agrees so long as he gets a replacement. This sword is replaced by Enma, and likewise I'm wondering if Enma will be returned to its rightful resting place with Odin by the end of Wano, or if Enma turns black. Does that mean that the blade never really belonged to Odin because he did not truly live up to the blade's duty or unique potential? Maybe a blade turning black simply means it has acknowledged you or a new master in some way, or better yet a partner. Something Tenguyama Hitetsu had said Odin failed to do, turning the blade black. Ryuma's blade then was or will be returned to him because it has already become black perhaps, and so there was or is nothing left for Zoro to do with it. Maybe. Even if Ryuma originally gave Zoro Shusui under the impression that it would be that katana's long-cherished ambition for Zoro to be its master. Long-cherished or long-held ambition is also a lifelong dream or aspiration, and maybe this ties into Zoro's dream of being the world's strongest swordsman, and so in the context of inherited will, a will passed down to a descendant, a will that endures generations later. And so I started to wonder, does Zoro's dream tie into Ryuma's somehow? Maybe a dream Ryuma had in the past, maybe Ryuma's past overall. Ryuma's former title beyond simply being considered a god of the blade. Was Ryuma once the world's strongest swordsman, canonically? We do learn in Oda's one-shot series Monsters that Ryuma was searching for a great swordsman known as King, and believed this king to have a great or the world's greatest warrior's soul. But also King had the reputation of being the strongest swordsman in the world. It is only at the end of the story of the one-shot series Monsters that we come to learn Ryuma himself was King, a title given to him by the people he saved. That Ryuma was, for his time, the world's strongest swordsman, maybe. And so Ryuma's search for King, from the beginning of the story to the end, is symbolic, because it depicts a man in search of himself, in search of greatness, in search of a strength that had always resided within him already. There are two black blades in the story that we know of. One belongs to Ryuma, the other belongs to Dracul Mihawk, both considered the strongest. Does Zoro need to become the strongest to unlock a black blade? Is that what is implied by Zoro needing to defeat Mihawk? That he will not get a black blade until after he does so? Or is a black blade nothing more than a recognition of one who has also expressed a great warrior's soul and unlocked the true potential of a blade they are paired with? Again, this would explain why Oda, from a literary perspective, decided to write Zoro as returning the blade rather than keeping it. The criticisms some had over Zoro getting Enma are unfounded then, because keeping Shusui would be Zoro relying on the hard work of another man. A black blade must be earned, and it is likely soon, either by the end of Wano or sometime after, Zoro will finally earn his own by turning one or more of his blades black as well. Ryuma, the former world's strongest swordsman perhaps, was strong for two reasons. His swordsmanship, yes, but also because of his willingness or desire to protect others. For Ryuma, this was the secret of true strength. The arc in which Zoro meets Ryuma showcases Zoro's similarity to this legend even more. Zoro becomes worthy of Ryuma's black blade in one chapter after displaying what a great swordsman he was by comparison. And shortly thereafter, in chapter 485, Zoro displays the other quality, perhaps a more important quality, when he protects his captain and the other Straw Hats by sacrificing himself, exchanging his life for Luffy's own. Notably, this chapter is titled after Zoro, but I feel as if it could just as well have been titled after Ryuma, someone that would have also selflessly traded his own life as if nothing had happened. However, now that we are in Wano, what will parallel these moments? Maybe rather than have someone give him a black blade, Zoro creates or forges a black blade of his own. Maybe Zoro ends up in another situation where he must protect those around him, and maybe Zoro meets Ryuma one last time. A parting farewell, a thank you even, and maybe some insight into Zoro's past upon his long overdue visit to Ryuma's grave. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click the notification bell. And if you have a Twitter, feel free to give me a follow on there as well. As always, there's more to come. Until next time.